Now, moving on, would rejoining the EU fix Brexit? You might not think so, but the President of the EU Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, certainly does.
Speaking of this European Union, do you believe that Britain could ever rejoin this European Union? Britain? Who? It's a small country with an ambassador sitting right there. It's a small pirate island off the coast of France. UK. United Kingdom. Could it rejoin the European Union?
Ambassador. So, Ambassador, you know my position. First of all, thanks God, with the Windsor Agreement, we had a new beginning for old friends. Very important. And then I must say, I keep telling my children, you have to fix it. We goofed it up. You have to fix it. So I think here, too, the direction of travel, my personal...
They still don't get it, do they? Well, every 5 years there's a chance to renew, revise or even terminate the Brexit agreement, and that means after the next general election, a new, possibly Labour government will have the chance to scrap the current deal set by Boris Johnson's administration, reopening negotiations with the EU. The point is this. They think it's funny, don't they? They think it's funny to dishonour the votes of 17.4 million. It wasn't funny. That went through and we weren't listened to. Those voters weren't listened to for over 3 years. Finally, when it came through, they didn't accept it, and they still to this day don't accept it. Firstly, it came as a huge surprise to them because they couldn't read the working classes, they couldn't read the Conservatives, they couldn't read Britain. They spectacularly failed to judge the mood of the nation, and still to this day, they're moaning like an old divorcee about it. Ben Habib, I think, joins us now on the line. Ben, they think it's funny. They think they can mock us, and the way to solve all of our problems is simply to rejoin and wipe out Brexit. What's your take?
Well, I mean, what you've seen from von der Leyen, I think that clip was yesterday, wasn't it? What you've seen from her is what we've seen repeatedly from the European Union, that notwithstanding the fact that they say they respect democracy, they respect the rule of law, they respect the democratic will of the people, actually, every time they get a result they don't like, they keep going back again and again and again until it's reversed. And Article 50, just to cast viewers' minds back to the dim and distant days of 2016 and 2017, Article 50 of the treaties of the European Union, the Article 50 is set out in order for a country to legitimately exercise its constitutional right to leave the EU. And yet, the European Union has done nothing other than frustrate our legitimate right to leave. And it's quite interesting as well, Martin, I don't know if this was an error by the Politico presenter who introduced von der Leyen, but he referred to Britain rejoining the EU. He didn't initially refer to the United Kingdom rejoining the EU. And of course, that's because when we tried to get out of the front door in 2019, we left Northern Ireland behind. It is only a matter now of Great Britain going back because we never got Northern Ireland out. I mean, the entire process of trying to extricate ourselves from that wretched organisation that falsely claims to be pro-democracy and pro the rule of law has been a frustration of the will of the British people and our independent sovereign right to act as an independent sovereign nation. And she should be ashamed of the words that she expressed yesterday.
And Ben, looking ahead in Prime Minister Question Time today, Rishi Sunak said to Starmer he prefers Brussels to Britain, and those deals are up for renegotiation if Labour were to get in. Do you think Starmer is a rejoiner in disguise, or will it be more like a death by 1,000 paper cuts?
Well, as I mentioned, Martin, we haven't really got out of the European Union yet. We're still aligned on very significant parts of the law. Northern Ireland has been left behind. Our own fishing waters are not our fishing waters. They still, effectively, without wishing to use emotive words, raped by European Union vessels every day. I read an implementation report today issued by the European Union saying that they would issue sanctions against the UK in 2026 if we try to take our fishing waters back. And, of course, Starmer is not even a rejoiner in disguise. Starmer, and indeed Rishi Sunak, are basically Europhiles. They want to be part of the European Union. And until they can give effect to that wish, they will align the UK as closely as they possibly can to give effect to that, under the radar. But as I say, we haven't properly left. We need to get out properly. We need to bring Northern Ireland back into the UK. We need to ditch all the alignment with EU laws, including an international commitment to the inexorable, economically emasculating march to net zero. And we need to ditch any commitment to the European Court of Human Rights, which we've also made in the Trade and Cooperation Agreement. And before any Remainers, I doubt there are many Remainers watching GB News, but before any Remainers swivel their eyes and go, well, ECHR is not part of the European Union, well, I've got some news for you. The Trade and Cooperation Agreement signed by Boris Johnson reaffirms our commitment to the ECHR. We're not allowed, by the very nature of the deals we've signed, actually to act as an independent country. So we've got to get out, and the grappling hooks that the EU has got in our flesh need to be thrown aside, and we've got to get rid of people like Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak in office and get a set of parliamentarians that actually respect the will of the people and will not allow the European Union to trounce all over our democracy.
OK, Ben Habib, superb as ever. Thanks for joining us on GB News. Thank you very much.